going around the table, actually, are women oppressed?
I think yes.
Okay. Malia, don't laugh at your friend
Sorry,
here.
we had this debate already.
Had this a whole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are women oppressed?
Not in the U.S.
Yeah, not in the U.S.
No, not in the U.S.
Not in the U.S.
Not in the U.S.
What did I miss?
Are women oppressed?
No.
No.
So, you think women are oppressed in the U.S.?
I think they can be. Yeah.
How?
Well, I'm glad you brought this up.
Yep.
A big one
Me too.
is.
I'm super
She did
glad you brought
research.
it up.
A big one is the whole Blizzard case with the lawsuit with California. You're a big Blizzard fan, World of Warcraft.
Okay.
The state of California sued Blizzard, right, because of the unequal treatment of women in the workplace. Same exact jobs, same exact positions, and they were getting paid way less than the men.
Has that been settled yet? That case?
I have not been keeping up with it, but the original filing of it, I
No,
read the whole
well,
thing.
so I mean, you can't just put forward a complaint and say that because a complaint was made, that means that therefore complaint was true. That would be absurd, right? You would never do that. That would be absurd to do.
Can I also
It's
ask
the
you-
state of California.
Do
You don't think they would have like?
Whoa, wait, hold on. So, if the state of California files a criminal complaint against you, and they've alleged that you've murdered somebody, but you know you didn't, but because it's the state of California, surely why would they proceed with a prosecution unless they knew you were guilty? So do you not believe in innocent until proven guilty?
Okay, on a corporation level though, this is not like a one person like he said, she said. This is a huge corporation where you would think, again, I guess I'm assuming, but you would think they have a little more evidence than like one whistleblower.
Well, so what specific? Because I've heard some stuff about Blizzard. Is it related to pay? Is it related? I think there was a few some sexual harassment allegations. Andrew asked you though, has it been settled? Because this sounds like a civil case that's been brought against Blizzard. It's not clear to me if
So just so you know, the background
in
it is it was settled.
I think it was, yeah.
But the determination here really, though, is not whether or not it was, but why in the world you would use that as evidence for discrimination if you didn't even know that it was.
Well, I was about to say, I remember, I think, reading a headline that they settled with a huge, like...
But so how is this...
Oh, now suddenly you remember that they settled
this a
after
good
I told
argument?
you that they
Like,
settled. Isn't that convenient?
But is that a good argument for the, like...
It's not a good argument to say, I remember that a complaint was brought up, and so therefore I think that women are oppressed. That seems absurd.
Can I actually ask a question too? Because it was the topic of, are women oppressed? Is it more so that it's just inequity, or would you genuinely consider something like that as oppression? Because there is a big difference between oppression and just inequity.
Well, I think in the general sense, I think inequity, it can be oppression depending on...
I guess to make it more specific, is unequal pay...
Octopus Tetro donated $100. Miss Jojo, whom I find so attractive, the fact that a legal complaint is filed doesn't mean that the opponent is guilty. We have the right of innocence until proven guilty.
Sure.
So let the file conclude.
Not only that, but...
The file did
as
conclude.
I-
You, like,
going
backed up
through
my
the
point.
Hang on, I'm going through the complaint here as well, and this was actually a direct settlement. So they settled with them because they didn't want to go through the court costs, according to the Activision, of trying to take on the state in this massive court case, but they admitted no wrongdoing, according to this settlement. So the question again becomes, even if you settle because of court costs, that still is not necessarily an indication of wrongdoing. So what Brian is asking you specifically here is, what are the things that you would point to that would show that women are not equal to men inside of American society?
Oh my God. And you don't like the World of Warcraft Blizzard?
It's not clear if that's evidence of widespread oppression, because like you
Not even clear that it's oppression in this case.
Right.
It's not even
Exactly.
clear. In this case, it's oppression. So any examples that you could give that we
Besides
could
that
dive into, I'm literally happy to entertain any of them.
besides that one.
Well, you can
Let me ask you one question before you give an example. Are you oppressed?
I'm not saying me personally.
Well, you said women. Are you?
I think
you're a woman,
there are
right?
cases of women being oppressed.
There
That's what I
are-
said.
Well, the question was sort of a general one.
Yeah.
Are women oppressed?
I'm not saying every woman's oppressed.
Okay, so which ones?
Who at this table's oppressed?
Which
Depends
ones?
if that's how you feel.
Okay, so which ones and how?
Which ones and how? Like in the cases of corporate's a big one.
Let me ask you a question. So, actually, speaking of tech companies, well, I guess Blizzard's a video game company, but
You
kind
can
of similar.
bring up tech.
Google actually tried to do a review of their, their payroll, and they actually found, and you can Google this, and maybe Andrew, you could just make sure I'm getting this right. Google did an internal review and found that they were actually overpaying women compared to their male counterparts. Is that evidence of men being oppressed, that Google was overpaying the women for the same work, the same job?
Because of probably overcompensation of what they thought.
Is that evidence of oppression, though? That the women were getting paid more than the men?
Well, I don't think just payment is like the one example of oppression.
I mean, that's what you cited to with the Blizzard case.
Well, there was other things with the Blizzard case. It wasn't just the payment inequality.
And
There
yes,
was also
Brian,
treatment in the office. There was also.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but Brian is correct. This was a Silicon Valley internal audit that Google did, and they found that they were overpaying their female staff in order to compensate for some social justice bullshit, right? That's essentially
Yeah.
what happened in that case.
Well, that's why sometimes it's hard. I'm not going to say I'm a full liberal, full socialist, because I do think there are a lot of mistakes like that. The overcompensation for women, that's why it's more about equity and not necessarily equality, because I think the argument that we're completely equal is BS. We're completely different.
Wait, but when it happens to women, it's oppression, but
No.
when it happens to men, it's just
SOL.
not oppression?
No, I was
Okay, so-
using the example of Blizzard because there was a lot of things in that working environment. In
Are
the
you
corporate world.
oppressed?
I said no.
Okay. How are women oppressed?
Like in the example of
Besides the Blizzard
a
example.
corporate office, a lot of times there are women who aren't listened to as much. There's studies showed by like Harvard did a bunch of studies on.
Is that oppression, though? I don't know if that would constitute oppression. It could be unfair treatment, but I don't. Well, depends.
oppression, like not listening to women's voices or like ideas in the workplace? Isn't that kind of along the lines?
What
of oppression?
evidence do you have that actually occurs?
Well, there are studies that show, like, for example, Harvard case study is, you guys probably know of this one where they give two, like, descriptions of someone.
Is this the resume one? Like the
resume
resumes?
one. Yeah, and they thought
Oh,
the
yes,
woman was
let's get
bossy.
into this
and
one. Go ahead.
Andrew has something for this.
Oh, gosh.
But okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so they showed a room full of students. They thought the woman was bossy, blah, blah, and then they thought the man was a great leader, took good initiative, etc.
Wait, which thing are you referencing here? Which study?
It was a Harvard case study based off of, they were giving the qualifications of a candidate, and the woman, the classroom deemed that she seemed bossy, she seemed arrogant, and then they gave it with a man's name, and they were like, oh, he seems like a good leader, I would follow him, confident.
Now,
well,
this is
they-
off the top of your head, so I don't actually expect you to know this. But do you have any idea what the study might have been called or what the methodology was that was used in it?
No, there a lot of my classes go over that study, though. I wouldn't be able to tell you the name.
Well, it sounds like you're paying a lot for classes where you don't even remember what it is that you read inside the
Harvard
class,
case
right?
study? Do you remember every Harvard case studies you read?
If I
and then-
cite them, I do.
I didn't know what topics of conversation were going to come up on this podcast.
Do you know what I find
Well, I
though?
mean, if let's just assume for a second it was a topic of conversation I didn't think would come up on the podcast, then I probably wouldn't cite something if I didn't know anything about the thing I was citing. That seems, again, to me, to be absurd.
I read it. Well, it's the same. It's the same thing in the earlier arguments. Like, what are the statistics you're citing based off in like
Which statistics?
what time period and things like that? You randomly would give like information that it's based off what, and you would say, "Oh, things I've read."
Okay, which reference are you referencing?
Like you were talking about divorce because of unhappiness.
Yeah,
General.
this is all stats you can find from divorce.com. Not kidding. And you can also find the other stats that I cited to you from Pew Research.
Okay.
I've noticed a common trend. I'm not trying to attack you, Kirby, but almost every liberal woman I've met who, especially those who are studying college, whether they're getting their bachelor's, master's, whatever it is, they're very liberal leaning. And